Caicedo, Gittens, Guiu. So all of those players have come in to make a lot of change for Chelsea, and them scoring 2 goals in a span of I think 3 minutes. That's a huge statement for the Blues. And remember, going at Forest to get points is always a very difficult task for the so-called top 5 teams in the Premier League.
I think that this Chelsea is gelling. It's coming up. You can see that that confidence they got after beating Liverpool with the last minute goal showcases that they are ready now to take any team in Premier League.
Absolutely. I had forecasted them as one of the top contenders for the title this season based on how they carry themselves with the transfer window. And, it has taken them a time, of course, for them to start grinding out results. And slowly by slowly, as they grind out results, confidence is coming. More so bearing in mind that they have some few players there who can just decide the game anytime, any moment. They like of Estevao, that youngster who actually impressed us against Liverpool. So indeed, they'll be among of the biggest teams which I feel they have what it takes to contest for the title, save for Liverpool and Arsenal and maybe Man City to some extent. I feel Chelsea, they are really, really strong contenders.
What are you not talking? Why are you not talking about Man United?
Manchester United is still too early for them because we understand the difficulties Manchester United is going through at the moment. We can't actually just try to put them on the same table or on the same formation with Chelsea, Liverpool and Arsenal at the moment. Their biggest test, of course, is going to be tomorrow when they play at the Reds. And whenever these two teams meet, it's always a blockbuster. And if by chance Manchester United manage to get points at Anfield tomorrow, then definitely Ruben Amorim, the Amorite, will have already said at least the blushes. Yeah, you remember in the biblical verse, the Amorites,
The
Amorite. So of course tomorrow's was a really, really big one for the both coaches.
Now, when you're talking about Amorim, it just reminds me that your number one supporter, the Right Honourable Raila Odinga, passed on, and Arsenal TV sent condolences. Arsenal Football Club sent condolences. Are Arsenal going to beat Fulham and win the league for Raila Odinga, the departed?
I think that will be the best send-off for the late Prime Minister, because he has been a very staunch supporter for the Gunners for all his life. And I think this should have been the best moment, best way to at least tell him, thank you for being with us. We are going to do this for you. And I hope and pray maybe as Arsenal face Fulham later tonight, they should at least even have a moment of silence in honor of the late Raila Odinga, because he has always stood with this team both in good and bad times.
I remember when Onyonka, the senator for Kisii, was being interviewed, and he said that he gave up on Arsenal. And when Arsenal used to lose repeatedly, he was so mad, but he would meet Raila the next day, Right Honourable Raila, and Raila will say, we will win, don't worry, don't move. So that spirit of hoping their team will perform better when people are in despair, I hope that Arsenal fans out there will have that spirit of standing with the team through thick and thin.
Yeah, he has taught the Gunners a lot of good lesson there, and it's not all about maybe sometimes winning. It's all about passion, and he was really passionate about the Gunners. Look, even sometimes he decided to go to Emirates watch these matches, despite the fact that they haven't been winning titles, but he has always stood with this team. And I think even Arsenal are riding on his popularity in Africa, or rather Kenya, to get more fans, because when you see these big wigs trying to align themselves to some of the big teams in the world, definitely there's something else that the teams will gain. So definitely the late former Prime Minister has done a lot of justice for the Gunners, but not only the Gunners. You understand, he was also the patron of Gor Mahia. He has walked through thick and thin with Gor Mahia. Everything, when Gor Mahia maybe are struggling, he comes in and lifts up the team, both financially, emotionally, and everything. He has been with the team. Same to the national teams, Harambee Stars, Harambee Starlets. He has been showing up during their matches. Same to rugby, athletic, the same. So the late Raila Odinga was omnipresent in the stadiums, and we can feel it. Whenever he came to the stadium, he could bring that mojo. He could bring something he brought into the stadium, and every fans there will have that spirit of trying to cheer the team, even if the results were not going their side. So, in essence, we have really lost a very big support of sports in the country and the world at large.
Because I remember even when AFC Leopards were buying a bus, he could contribute. Shabana, he would contribute, and there's a money to be given. And he was just an all-round sports person.
Yeah, absolutely.
He set up KFF with Kenneth Matiba. You remember at the inception of this country, he was instrumental in making sure that we ran a professional league, we tap on the target talents, and bringing of the coaches, the recruits, the West German coaches in the early years, because he studied in Germany, and it was so key for him to get the best football tacticians to the country through the KFF they had established.
Absolutely. Even remember, there's a time he seconded a German coach for the national team. I can't remember his name. The German coach whom I remember with this famous quote that abnormal is always normal in Kenya. I can't remember his name. Let me just try and check it. Yeah, actually, that tells you that Raila really loved the Kenyan football, and he meant well for Kenyan football. And him going to an extent whereby he tried to bring even warring faction within these clubs, when things were not working for the federation. He tried to bring this warring faction together so that at least the game can go to the next level. And you have spoken it clearly that whenever he came to the stadium, mostly during the Mashemeji Derby, there was always a token for the both sides, the Shemejis, both for Gor Mahia, the team that he was the patron, and then FC Leopards, the rival, the so-called Mashemejis. So definitely these players, whenever they saw Raila on the pitch, save for the result, they knew definitely there's something they'll get from
the patron.
Raila Odinga. And then came in Shabana. He also assisted Shabana in one way or another. Remember the days of reunion. Raila was always there. Himself, he was a footballer at the early age.
Yes, he was.
His early ages. So he understands what the game involved and what he wanted it to be. Fortunately, he has left the country at the moment whereby already Kenya had hosted one of the major events, that's CHAN, and then we're looking forward to AFCON 2027, something that has taken long before we realized such a dream.
You remember even during the FKF elections recently, Raila actually prevailed over the other team to step down for Hussein. You remember he called them to his house and told them, let this Hussein gentleman and Mariga become the chairman and the vice president of the league because they are fresh start, and told the Nick Mwendwa team to allow this other team to work. You remember towards the last election, he was very instrumental on shaping the leadership of FKF.
Yeah, I understand. There's always a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that maybe the public doesn't know. But he has played a key role in ensuring maybe the takeover of the Hussein-led team at Kantanda House. And of course, I'm pretty sure they'll soon come out one day. They'll tell you exactly what transpired in those boardroom meetings, because it's not only the Hussein and the team that wanted to go to Kandanda House. There's also a lot of different teams that wanted to take off from Nick Mwendwa regime. And luckily for Hussein, they managed to go through, thanks maybe to some intervention from Raila Odinga.
I think it's always very interesting to find a gentleman who supports the teams and also make sure that he attends personally in stadium, because many leaders we've seen across African continent do not care how the youth, which is the biggest population in Africa, how they are performing in the matter of sports and how they're getting engaged. So Raila stood head over shoulders in that aspect.
Yeah. I actually remember the coach. It was Anthony Hay, and that was it.
Yeah, Antoine Hay.
That was in 2009.
Remember in the stadium when we used to call Antoine Hey!
Yeah. That was when he was the Prime Minister, and he played a key role in appointing Anthony Hay to handle the national team. Unfortunately, Anthony Hay maybe saw things were not being done in Kenya professionally, so he felt like in Kenya things just are always abnormal. We normalize abnormal things and take them just like normal things. So I think those are some of the reasons that made him to pack his bag and go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think what Ashtemi and I is trying to say is that Raila was a passionate sports person, a supporter of football, a supporter of athletics, rugby, and the betterment of Kenyan youth. Yeah. So today, apart from the match which we are watching, Rogers, there's also a couple of matches, and we need a quick look at them. Brighton is hosting Newcastle United. Then there's Burnley hosting Leeds United just in a few minutes. Crystal Palace is facing AFC Bournemouth. Man City is facing Everton at the same time, and Sunderland facing Wolves, who are at the bottom of the basement of the table. And later on at 7:30, your mighty Gunners
Yes.
is facing Fulham.
Yes, a moment to make Raila proud. Yes. Yes.
So tell us, Brighton and Newcastle, what's your take?
Of course, not an easy game. Newcastle are trying also to continue life after the exit of Alexander Isak. And remember also their previous match before the international break. They had one of their matches they had lost to Arsenal. Yeah. And they bounced back to win against Nottingham Forest. But on the other side, of course, Brighton were frustrated by Wolves. They drew 1-1. And prior to that, Brighton had beaten Chelsea 3-1. But looking at Brighton's squad, trust me not, it is a very strong team. The likes of former Arsenal and Manchester forward Welbeck. He has really been influential for them. The likes of Baleba, the likes of Dunk. Those are some of key players who can make a change for you. And then the veteran Milner, James Milner, who is still...
How old is James Milner?
Should be over 35, if I'm not wrong. And he's still going strong. Yeah. So definitely, it's not going to be an easy game. Bearing in mind also they have the Gambian winger, that is Minte, who really frustrated the Harambee Stars during the...
Minte is very strong, man.
Yeah. So looking also at their head-to-head, I think the previous matches, it has always been a very low-scoring matches. They drew Wolves 1, Brighton 1, and then Brighton had won 2-0 in the first leg, and then they had drew 2-2 the previous year, 2024, and then Brighton had won. So it looked like Brighton have a better head-to-head record against Wolves. And then looking at the standings, Brighton is placed 12th with 9 points, while Wolves are rooted at the bottom with 2 points. So of course
at the bottom of the basement
of the table with 2 points. So of course, if you are an investor, you know where to put your money. Yes.
But remember that we're saying Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. Versus Newcastle
United.
Yeah. And then Burnley versus Leeds.
Burnley versus Leeds. Yeah. These are teams that, of course, they came back to the Premier League last season, or rather at the beginning of this season.
Both of them, actually.
They were promoted to
the promoted League. Teams.
Yeah, they promoted.
With Sunderland as a third one.
Yeah. So, of course, it looks difficult for Burnley because they have had a very poor start to the season. It has been a difficult start for them. One win and then 1 draw, 5 losses. So it is a must win for Burnley. They have to do everything possible to win this game. But for Leeds, I think they are 3 places above Burnley. But I think they need to get more points to prove that they are no longer pushover on their return to the Premier League. So I feel Leeds, they have what it takes also to push. Of course, they are on the road, but looking at the Burnley form, Leeds look more a threat than the host. That's Burnley.
What about Crystal and Bournemouth? Bournemouth are flying high, of course. They've been playing very well. Remember, Bournemouth among the top teams in the Premier League this season, and they can't stop scoring. They can't stop scoring, and they're playing also very tricky and also high-flying Crystal Palace, who defeated Liverpool 3 weeks ago. And Crystal Palace have always shown that in London they are not a pushover whatsoever. It's a team gelling and firing in all cylinders.
I think Palace are really wounded. Remember, they lost their last game before the international break, 2-1 against Everton. Yeah. So at Goodson Park. So they are coming to this match with an aim of trying to redeem themselves after that defeat, because they had remained as the only team that had not lost throughout this season in the English Premier League. And on the other side, of course, Bournemouth look like they're causing problems to many teams. They have had a very good run. I think they have gone like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches without losing. And within those 5 matches, they have won 3 times, that in the Premier League. So it gives you a scenario whereby this team, they know what they want. Of course, they have had a lot of departures, but looking at how they have done their things, I think they're looking to be a very compact team. They have 14 points. That's Bournemouth. They are number 5, and then Palace are number 12. So it's not going to be an easy game for both sides. Bearing in mind also they have some clinical players in both sides, and
Semenyo especially.
Semenyo on the Bournemouth side, and on the other side you have the legs of Mateta and
Jean-Philippe Mateta
and Eddie Nketiah. So I think here goals, we'll expect a number of goals, no matter how difficult they'll try to maybe put the low blocks, but goals will be there because both forwards look to be very dangerous.
This week also we've seen Mateta being called to the national team of France. And it shows that of his rising character and his position in the French football. Because for a very long time, no one thought that Mateta would make a cut for La Blues.
I think it is thanks to his form, because he has been doing wonders in the English Premier League. And, just like you have said it clearly, somebody maybe to make his first national team start at that age of Matata, then it is quite inspirational, because most of these people think that maybe if you haven't gotten your first senior team, you haven't made your first senior team collapse, maybe between the age of 20 to 23 or so, definitely your life is gone. But Mateta has been pushing on, and when he was given the opportunity, he proved his worth by scoring. And I think it is going to give Didier a lot of sleepless nights, because he'll have a lot of plethora of options to choose from the forward.
Yeah. So and then let's move quickly to City versus Everton, because City have found their rhythm. City are very dangerous whenever they find their rhythm. They struggled at the beginning of the league, and they lost back-to-back games in a very rare moment. Of course, City and Guardiola do not lose back-to-back. But I think the new players they had bought were just settling in. And now it seems like they've found their rhythm. Is it a rhythm found, or is it that they're just lucky to get the points which they've gotten in the last 3 weeks?
I think in all competition they've managed to win 5 matches and then drew twice. That is Manchester City. And luckily for them, actually, they went into the international break when they were beaming with a lot of confidence, and they were scoring goals for fun. And that is thanks to their talisman, Erling Haaland, who actually keeps on breaking records and breaking his own records as well. So, but it's not going to be a walk in the park for the Toffees, because the Toffees also did well in the last game. They ended Crystal Palace's good run, that's unbeaten run. So it's a team that is coming to this match knowing that we have to also prove that our win against the Crystal Palace, it wasn't a fluke, it was a worth win for us. And looking prior to that, they had drawn 1-1 against West Ham, which has also been struggling. But looking at Manchester City's form, it is quite impressive. And, they have been scoring a number of goals. Of course, they were lucky to beat Brentford 1-0. Prior to that, they had drawn 2-2 against Monaco in the Champions League, and then they had beaten. Had thrashed bottom-rooted Burnley, I think 5-1. Yeah, that was a huge statement from Guardiola and his boys. But of course, the biggest threat in that game remains to be Erling Haaland. Of course, many people are saying that the exit of Kevin De Bruyne is going to maybe put him in a very complex situation. But you have seen Doku has come of age and is the person now trying to play that role that was being done by the Algerian, the former Manchester City, the Algerian, that is Mahrez.
Yeah.
So Doku is really doing well because right now he knows the best moment to deliver the pass, the most moment to take on a defender, and the best moment to shoot. So it's a very dangerous place to meet at the moment, both for the club and the national team.
And of course, you've talked about Everton. They have Jack Grealish in there, who's been pulling a lot of strings. Remember last year, Everton really struggled, but this year they've made some very notable signings, and Jack Grealish has found a good lease of life. He could be trying to show Guardiola what he didn't show him when he was at Etihad.
No, unfortunately, he's on loan, so he'll not be able to play against his former parent club. So he'll just have to watch from the terraces. So I think here, Moyes will have to look for somebody else to do that job. And definitely that job is likely to be done by the likes of Beto and then Ndiaye, Alcaraz. Those are the people who need to take over from Grealish. And then, of course, the lineups are out, and I can see Haaland will be the focal point. And then behind him, we have the Savino, Regina, Joe Foden, Doku, and then Nico will sit in on behalf of the injured, I think, Rodri. And then in the defense, we have Nunes, Diaz, Ake, and then Orili. Donnarumma, of course, between the posts for Manchester City. So I think they have a mission here, looking at how they are trying to put up their squad. That is for Pep Guardiola. I think he wants to narrow the gap on league leaders and try to show that he's indeed in this thing as the title contender, as in not maybe just coming in for a joke.
Interesting, because there's a lot of discussion points in that team, and it's a very good balanced match. But let's move to Sunderland and Wolves, because Sunderland has been high flying, and they are newcomers, but they seem to be getting their acts together, pulling the strings, and they have a pleasant gameplay. And also Wolves are suffering, and they are at the bottom table.
I think Sunderland are one of the surprise package in the league this season, because coming from the championship and then trying to collect those points at this particular moment, that's already a motivation to the team, because right now the coach is like, can I continue getting more points? Bearing in mind that already they had, before the international break, they had lost it to Manchester United. And you know, that is the game that gave Amorim a lifeline. And I think looking now how they are going to face Wolves, who have been struggling completely, I think they have to bounce back no matter what, because they have what it takes to do so. Looking at the position, Sunderland is ranked position 11, position 9, with 11 points, and then Wolves are rooted at the bottom with 2 points. That's a big difference between these two teams, despite the fact that Wolves have been in the Premier League for a longer period compared to returning Sunderland. So, of course, Cedric, that's where we are at the moment. We are breaking down how things are going to happen this afternoon, based on the matches. And, it is what it is.
Cedric, were you around? What's wrong with you?
No, I've been around.
And?
I've been around, even I was here very early. I really think that we have so many things that we are chasing around, given also the demise that we are facing as a nation. I've been trying to sort out some things out there to ensure that our audience, at least on whichever platform, they are quite comfortable with us.
Did you forget that you have a show?
I know. But now you see, jack of all trades, and some trades are
Mr. Jack.
Mr. Jack.
Some trades fall heavily within our rightful stature of our profession. So we need first to take care of those before we can also.
Now, tell us, Arsenal is playing Fulham.
Arsenal, the league leader.
Yes.
Elephant. they also assume so many words or titles, just like our enigma. And those words have been accumulated over time. I know, given whatever that is happening now, that the most celebrated Arsenal fan is going down in a heroic way.
Yeah.
Arsenal need to do honorable things by going for further and winning him a trophy. If that does not necessarily happen, I don't think if the Arsenal fans in the Kenyan boundary will be quite happy with this team. Some of them might migrate even to Manchester United without telling us.
How can they go to Manchester?
If Arsenal does not win that trophy for
no. What?
Raila, Baba, Amolo,
just look at the position the two teams are, and then what they are doing. Of course, Manchester, they are only participating in one competition throughout this season.
But Rogers,
yes,
let us not underrate emotions.
No, it's not
emotions. Does things that are uncomparable. If somebody chooses to divorce Arsenal simply because they have not delivered a trophy to Baba, that is quite different from where the position Arsenal is currently.
An Arsenal fan cannot go to Manchester United, maybe another team.
That's according to you.
No, it is just written in the skies. Even Baba will be so amazed with whoever fan will do that. So
but you agree with me that they need to do whatever they can within their capacity.
They have to win it for Baba.
If they don't win it for Baba, they better even abandon the club itself.
We abandon the club and go where?
And we are going to come on Arsenal social media pages to tell them, we'll pass the messages until they do it for Baba.
They must do it, they must deliver for Baba.
They must deliver it for Baba. And I hope maybe as we continue, Kenyans are so vibrant on social, as we continue agitating for this, they'll push even to ensure Arteta or even somebody there trying to recognize Baba until we need to do this.
1 minute silence.
They need to
in
do
this
that.
match. They have to.
They need to do that against Fulham.
But
honestly.
they're late.
No. It's at 7:30. So what we are saying is Arsenal Football Club must honor their fan number one.
So as to say, starting by our Arsenal fan in this particular studio, which is Rogers,
yes,
you need to start rallying that call as from now.
But
we've spoken about it.
No, speaking about it is just one of the media avenues. But you need also to push, because you have the power from whatever that is in front of you. Push it and make sure that all of your followers are pushing the similar agenda.
This one is going to be down in the next few because even prior to that, I had a certain debate on my page here, and sorry for diverting, but it looked to be a very genuine, because I was feeling like the late Raila has always been omnipresent in the stadium, and of course we have Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay. Why can't we have the same respect being done in the Nairobi facilities? Because
we were saying we need a Nairobi stadium named after Raila Odinga.
At least I know it is debatable.
It is we are doing so many things very fast. And I agree with people outside there who are saying that let's not do things as if they will not happen. It's a gradual kind of thing. We need to give it time, one step at a time. Let's first lay Baba.
So what we are saying,
from there, we start another debate of, okay, now who is these children that Baba has left behind who can really champion us or fit in the shoes of Baba? Then, now the issue of stadia pops up. Not even a stadia. There are so many avenues that even our highways, there are so many avenues that Baba need to carry. And also somebody was literally talking to me that this Baba of ours is a Baba that, and remember, is a Baba that has lived in opposition for so many years, but is a Baba that has been celebrated in all the 47 counties.
Yes.
If not the will, and that is, if not the will, it will have been a honorable thing to move a Baba across all our 47 counties before we get buried. Yes. If not him writing a will of 72. So as to say, it's a honorable thing also to name Baba after some of their iconic, let's say, infrastructure. May it be a highway, may it be a stadium, and I think stadium will honorably do.
Especially this Talanta Stadium. Why would we call it Talanta?
Because also
this Talanta one before AFCON. Why don't we call Talanta Stadium Raila Odinga International Stadium for 2027 AFCON?
That stadium agenda is good and prime because you understand, football is a common mwananchi's game. It is the people who come from the ghetto, people who come from the low-incoming family mostly, who interact with football. And most of the time, Raila was always with these people. So he need to be awarded such a recognition, because these people, once they come to the football stadium, they'll be like, they are seeing Baba. Baba is still around with them. And, that spirit will continue living with the generation to come.
You see what,
Yeah.
To separate politics from, let's say, the economical value of a nation, you name Baba after an economical infrastructure is like you are taking away the economic value that it carries.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone comes, as you have mentioned, they will be politically inclined if the stadium, more so like Talanta, is named up to Baba.
Mm.
To the essence that when you move in, it will take a political banter at some point, at a certain level. If it's playing with Gor, we are meeting, you are coming to play in our stadium that was named after our own. I'm just taking it that way. But if you literally think about it, I would still stand a chance of not necessarily honoring Baba after Stadia, but major infrastructure like highways, cities, let's say avenues, so as anyone who walks there does not walk there with a political mind, but a national
pride.
But it's still the same scenario, Cedric, because anyway, Chelsea have added the third goal.
The third goal. And listen, when you play in Moi Sports Center Kasarani,
that's where I was headed to.
Does it mean that you've named anyone? It doesn't matter.
Kasarani, does it still carry the name Moi up to date?
Yes.
It is. It's Moi Sports Center Kasarani.
It's a sports center Kasarani.
No,
Moi Sports Center Kasarani.
Because I remember Moi, all the Moi, whatever were...
No.
It's
Cedric, it's Moi Sports Center Kasarani.
It still carry Moi.
Yes.
Moi Sports Center Kasarani.
So there are people who outlive the tribal and political cocoon very easily. That's why when you go to all these international stadiums, Mahama Stadium, Mandela Stadium, whatever stadium, they're always like that. It's not. We are not reinventing the wheel. It has been there.
It has been there. Unless it is an initiative that is done by the club,
Yeah.
that's when maybe it can mostly get associated with maybe that
Yeah, but
icon,
it's not.
But you know why? The Kenya political topography is quite different from any other across the globe. So vibrant, and sometimes it moves heavily with emotions. The reason I'm saying this is naming Nelson Mandela and you cannot compare the Southern African politics to the Kenyan politics and how the emotion that the Kenyan politics carry.
It's only because you don't live there.
At one point, you know why our currency, at some point, we actually scrapped off the faces of our presidents. It's because of such kind of the political connotation and emotion that it used to carry. People used to think that our money was made for Moi. At some point, our money was for Kenyatta. But
Not
when
really.
they actually changed it and bring the one to celebrate one of our celebrated five whatever.
The big five. It's not like that, Cedric, completely.
It now assumes to represent the entire nation.
No, it was not like that.
Trust me, not
It was not like that.
CEO.
Yeah,
I feel
it was not like that.
Once we'll not do that in Kenya, trust me, not that will be done somewhere else.
It will be done, and
Somewhere
number two,
else, not here.
Not here. And second, let me remind Cedric that the changing of our currency was necessitated because of the fact that we'll have so many presidents coming, and we could not be changing money after each and new president.
But
That was the reason.
That still live with it, like the Ghanaian currency.
No. They
live with
have
the faces.
They don't live with the faces. They are law states that the founding fathers. It's like Abraham. It's like the George Washington in the United States. That's the only one whose photo is there. But in Kenyan old constitution, it was the new president's face becomes the new face of your currency. And then we looked at the new constitution and said that you cannot be changing currency after 10 years you have a new president, or 5 years because you'll go to election. We'll have all different faces in a very long time. Already we have 5 presidents. We'll have 5 different notes with 5 different faces. Next year or the other year, we'll have another president. That's the reason we change the currency, not because of politics.
So as to say, what will stop ripple effects of naming infrastructure after fallen heroes continue moving forward if we start with this?
You see, we've always had, even in Africa, that's why you have Haile Selassie. That's why you have Nkrumah. That's why when you go to Uganda, across Africa, across the world, the names are there. Even our gentleman, the marathon runner, has a street in Berlin. Kipchoge.
No, I'm not against that, but I'm looking at the ripple effect that it has.
It doesn't have any ripple effect.
Because if you start by Raila, and I know, and I'm advocating for the Kenya political topography, which is segregated to tribes.
Even South African topography is the same. Don't mind the whole world.
Ours is mad into tribal.
Yeah, even in South Africa.
Do this for this particular tribal, another tribal comes agitating for theirs.
Listen.
So everyone starts now looking for that angle.
Cedric, even the people you're talking about are the same. Even South Africa is the same.
You're blowing it out of proportion because it's not that each and every person will be named after the facility. No, it's for the selected few. What have you done for this country?
And that's why I'm saying let's be real to our. We are living in Kenya and we know how Kenya behaves. Let us not behave like we are coming from other spaces to land in Kenya.
No,
our Kenya and how we behave. You do this for this person. Even people will start agitating for Kibaki. Kibaki also has his own goods.
Listen,
and they will start asking
yourself, you're overthinking.
Why is Kibaki?
You're overthinking.
It also depends. It depends where you get associated more with. You feel Raila was always in the stadium. That is why maybe that narrative is being pushed. He was ever attending Harambee Stars matches. He was ever attending Mashemeji Derby. He was ever going for rugby matches. He was ever going to watch athletics. So that's why maybe to just make him maybe continue resonate and maybe getting closer to the whoever people are going there, maybe it will be a honor to do so. But it's of course subject to debate.
So as to say that Ruto is also gracing Stadia when he leaves the stage. He will also be celebrated by one of the study. It
depends. It depends without the mood of the moment will be and what he'll have achieved by that time. And of course,
he's the one who is building these studies. Remember?
Yeah, he'll do so. And
so as if anyone comes with a similar angle, you continue naming, because also whoever that will come, we don't know, he might continue with the same charisma. So you keep on naming.
But listen, there are so many stadiums to be built, Cedric.
Yeah.
There are so many
to be built.
Where will these names come from?
There are so many.
Yeah, there are many. There are many
to be built.
Continue being built.
And that's why I'm saying, if that is the trend, whoever that comes to the similar fashion will still be asking for the same.
Which is not a problem to us.
No, it is.
To who?
It is. Stadium should also at some point carry a national value.
And who told you naming Raila Odinga Stadium does not carry a national value?
You know, titles...
No. Just explain that.
I'm just explaining. It's not that titles goes with several connotations, depending on whoever that interprets it. Right now, we are celebrating Baba at large. But we have a certain fraction of people who are also not celebrating, and they live with us here. True or false?
You cannot please 100% of people.
We shouldn't bury our head as if it is alt-right and across the country, everyone is living like us.
Listen,
there are some people who sit in certain corner and they see like there's nothing that is happening here.
But that is why there's democracy.
And that democracy calls for this value that I'm asking for. Because it carries those who agree and those who disagree within the same basket.
But the majority always win. That's democracy.
So you think they're the majority?
Majority always win.
No, so you think that the majority... If the question of majority comes in, then it also catapults a different conversation in it.
No, Cedric, I think you're nitpicking.
Yeah, he's going...
You're nitpicking, and what we are saying, the question is, we are saying that we are honoring a legend, we are honoring a man who did so much for us.
Not necessarily. It shouldn't be necessarily Stadia. That's what I'm calling for.
That's your view, isn't it? And you are not refusing your view.
You are entitled to it.
You are
just the same like CEO is entitled to his view, I'm entitled to my view. Other people out there, they're entitled to their own views.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we'll have to come to a consensus and say, no, it is not possible. It is possible.
Yeah,
and we agree that
that's now the debate that I'm trying to bring in.
That is how it should
be. It's only that you are refusing to digest my debate.
No.
And you are standing by yours as if it is the correct one.
No. We are just telling you, Cedric, that people will decide. And these things, we do not have any say about it.
We don't have even the powers here. But trust you.
I remember at some point, there's at certain point Coca-Cola actually wanted to renovate Nyayo Stadium and be named after. Do you remember that?
It was all about money. It was money power.
But actually, the resistance did not even came from the public. By then, it was the ruling government that actually resisted that.
There's a lot of behind the scene that happened.
So we don't necessarily understand what values this infrastructure carries under the ban of the national hood better than the government of the day. We don't know.
Anyway.
And if you ask me what Coca-Cola wanted actually to put in, it would have been done somewhere, because he wanted actually to transform the entire Nyayo Stadium to a different avenue, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now you see, the government, which had got no money by that particular time, came in and resisted that call. I don't know why.
That's what I'm telling you. There's a lot behind the scene that happened. Money, power, and the politics of the day. Yeah. There's a lot.
It was, of course, politics.
Yeah, it was all about. It was now. It had come to for the public. It was a good venture for Coca-Cola to do so that particular moment. But now maybe the government of the day and those who were in power that particular moment, and a lot of things said that maybe you can't even say on air, that transpired, that made this deal to collapse. Yeah. But it's something that maybe we need to also to try and start as a society. We need to start and change how things are being done, because by that time, if we had maybe tried to take that route, definitely things should have been commercialized by that time,
yes.
And a lot of revenue will have been generated
and
through
many of
Nyayo
Coca-Cola
Stadium.
would have come on board to do other.
And also, why we didn't support Coca-Cola takeover, because these stadiums are not named after one brand worldwide, unless you see it's an Emirates stadium which you have built with your money or something. Because there are other, when you have an international match, there are those billboards we put in the stadium, and maybe Pepsi is the one who's going to sponsor that game, which is the biggest rival for Coca-Cola, and it's AFCON, and Pepsi are the main sponsors, and they've spent like 10 billion for AFCON, and they're going to play it in Coca-Cola Stadium. It doesn't sit well. So the stadium for corporates is out of bounds, unless it is your own stadium you've built, and the games you are playing are your own games there.
But Coca-Cola, if you go by the proposal, they wanted to facelift the entire stadium,
which is fine.
Which is like rebuilding it.
No, it's not like rebuilding.
Like
it's just a facelift.
What Kasarani has been done. What has it happened on it?
That's facelifting.
You facelift to a different avenue.
So, which is fine.
Better.
Which
bring
is
in
fine.
Canopy, introduce chairs, introduce all those.
So Cedric, you know what you are disagreeing with is that if you are told to build a new stadium and to uplift, which is cheaper?
Of course, uplifting is
Thank
cheaper.
you.
But
you've answered yourself.
But how many stadiums are uplifted by governments in Kenya?
It is the government duty, Cedric. The same way the government is building Talanta for us to host Chan 2027. It is always in Africa and world football bodies asks the government. That's why America is going to build stadiums to host the World Cup.
But you see, partnership sometimes, government, we sit in a notion where we think that government will do everything.
We are not sitting in a notion.
We do not also tend to think that this government of the day works in partnership. Coca-Cola coming on board is part of the government Coca-Cola partnership that would have helped government to bring up certain infrastructure, one of them being the study.
Listen, I understand the PPPTs very well. I'm a student of economics in my life. And what we are saying, the private-public partnerships are signed at a different level. So what Coca-Cola was trying to do was what does not sit in the law of public-private partnership. That's why the government tried to bring it behind the curtain, and people, and that's why I said, Roger is saying, there are things we can't say. And we know what happened in between there. Some people are given some things to push that agenda. If it came with clean hands, we'd have accepted.
But no infrastructure in Kenya has been put up through the parameters of clean hands, even roads, whatever. By the end of it, narratives will pop up, giving us different angle of what has transpired. nowhere in Kenya we will sit and say, this has been a clean project.
So tell us tell us Talanta. Is it a clean or not?
It is, because if you go by, even you published here in your product, the budget that was prescribed before has ballooned at certain points, which again brings some questions that are yet to be answered. So we always say that it will go until it's finished, then people talk about it, but at the end of it, it will not be as clean as it's supposed to be.
All right. Said Roji?
The game has come to an end. Yeah. Chelsea have won 3-0. As always, they got a red card.
A red card?
Yeah, I understand they got a red card as we were so deeply into this conversation. The debate. So they have jumped onto the, I think, 4th place with 14 points, 2 points behind our leaders, Arsenal. And I think Enzo is doing a good job at Chelsea.
And today he wasn't even on the bench.
On the bench, yeah. He had a suspension. He watched from the terraces. So that is it. Angie looks a very frustrated man. James there, the captain, fantastic.
3 goals in second half.
Yeah. So I think we need to expect more goals as we come back from the international break, because the players look more rejuvenated and they have a lot of energy. Those who have been scoring for their national teams, they carry that form into the intense matches. Yeah. So maybe CEO and Cedric, what is the future for Angie? Because of course
his days are numbered. Number one, Angie. I know Mariankis is a very crazy owner of a team. Mariankis can fire you even tonight. He doesn't wait. He's very quick with his decisions, and he can hire you over a glass of wine and fire you via text.
This is a coach that was single-sourced, according to my own opinion. There was no competitive nature of process of putting him into that particular space. And I think he was single-sourced because of what was really going around between the owner, Nuno Espirito, and Nuno Espirito. But I literally still think in such kind of environment, not every player plays for you. It takes time for players started actually playing for you, even with your philosophy. It will take Ange Postecoglou to settle down after having hammered several games, this being one of them. And also, he's on record telling us that he normally wins trophy in his second season. Maybe these are one of let's say, system to tell you that your patience will end up actually making him work for this particular team. But going by the result that he's harvesting, he's not putting this team to where it's supposed to be. Remember, it's a team that is representing England Conference Cup, right? Mm-hmm. And where that cup puts such kind of a team, it means it works hard for it. At some point, it almost even qualified for UEFA. Mm-hmm. Remember, their last 6 matches are the one actually which made it really slide back to where conference is, because they ended up losing game after game until towards the end of the season. So as to say, they are continuing with that bad form that they used to have at the tail end of that particular season. And again, they have good players, if you ask me, players that were being scouted by one of the best teams in APL, the likes of Murillo, mentioned the likes of Gibbs, Woods. These are players that last season, whatever this team faced any other team, the big 6 of the EPL, there was so much talk about them. Mm-hmm. You don't actually mark them well, you end up getting punished. I think it's all about the philosophy, because we remember last season seeing Nottingham Forest playing, they were sitting back as a block. They will frustrate you, and they
score on the counter,
capitalize on an advantage.
But they sold even their players. Remember, apart from they sold the former ex-Manchester United player to where? To Newcastle. Elanga.
Yes.
Remember, Elanga was riding on one wing.
Yes.
And this other wing, Hudson Odoi.
Yes.
And today he didn't even start Hudson Odoi, the ex-Chelsea man.
Yeah, and that's why I necessarily talk about his philosophy may not also be working. Remember, when I started knowing Postecoglou, I knew him like a high-pressing coach. And that pressing coach actually almost costed Tottenham. Because remember, Tottenham would play beautiful ball, pressing hard, but they were so very much vulnerable at the back, simply because of where the command they were actually accessing that particular field. Because they would even push the agenda up to the opponent half. But when the ball was falling behind Merino and Van der Ven, it was a kind of a disaster because no one would run back to cover that particular space. If that is the style that he's trying to implement at Nottingham Forest, a team that has played the entire season with a low block kind of mentality, remember, to change that idea and start assuming a new system of play, it takes time. And it takes time with such kind of miserable results.
Let's wait and see. But Chelsea are high flying. They've got their rhythm. And they've got many players scoring for them. Estravao has become a revelation. And like in the first half, they didn't start with Caicedo. And remember, Enzo Fernandez is also out. And then they brought in second half when they've scored. They brought in Gittens. They brought in Caicedo. And there's another person they brought in Caicedo in the second half. We changed that game completely.
Guiu.
Huh?
Yeah, Guiu.
Guiu.
Yeah, Guiu.
Oh.
Yeah, they came on as a trio.
Yeah.
I think their introduction, that's Guiu, Gittens, completely changed the game.
And Caicedo.
And But unfortunately, the biggest concern for Chelsea, it should be their discipline cases because, Gusto got a second bookable card just at the tail end of the game. That they're already leading 3-0. I don't understand why he just got himself in that situation. Getting red cards in each and every matches you play, it makes maybe something that needs to be done in the dressing room because the coach has also been sent to the terraces as well. So
today he didn't even coach the...
He had to watch it from the terraces. So I think it's something that they need to work on their discipline part of it. They need to understand the moment they need to rush into the challenges and when not to do such things. If they continue doing that, it will come to hound them at one particular moment in the season.
So, as I know, what's your take about Chelsea?
Chelsea has so much qualities, given also the number of age player that it has. They're a player who can play even 180 minutes without actually tiring up. And that tells you a team that need actually just to be managed well whenever you are playing against, because they are all over and they can run that particular field as if they are playing with the double edge numbers in each and every position. I would also think that, as Rogers has put it, sometimes in discipline cases, starts by those red cards, accumulative yellows, actually start working against the dressing room. Because remember, if you have your, let's say, dependable players, necessarily not honoring certain matches simply because of, understand, accumulated yellow, red cards and everything, the entire unity starts getting broken because each and every time it forces the technical bench to bring in some new player who and again has not actually been gelled up with the team. So as to say, when these passes started getting misplaced, some are not actually being accurate enough, you will start and again blaming each other. Not necessarily that you are playing badly, but because you are each and every time you go to face a team, you are being gelled up with the player that you have not been playing along with for a given time. They need just to work on their indiscipline cases and then moving forward, because I think they amassed their style of beating teams after they realized that they can really bring down the champions, the reigning champions.
Yeah, true.
And since they brought down the reigning champions, Chelsea has been a different monster altogether.
Yeah.
And I think that energy has really given them the form that they enjoy currently moving forward.
And also breaking this early kick-off jinx, I think, is going to inspire them further because it's not always that easy for the so-called top 6 teams to win the early kick-off matches. So for them going to Forest and clearing the Forest with ease, I think it somehow inspired the boys going to their next match, and it could be the Champions League match next week.
And you know where they are coming dangerous from? My observation is Chelsea are all of a sudden becoming dangerous from the flanks. Because I might and again think, and I was even thinking, leave alone whatever Enzo is trying to do by bringing Ricky James to play as a defensive midfielder. But if you can play Ricky James, a wing back, and then now you bring in a youngster like Estevao, you can understand that wing becomes dangerous in terms of attack. Because when Ricky advances, he becomes dangerous up front. And now if he joins the likes of Estevao in that particular wing, even marking that wing becomes so dangerous. Similarly, in the left side, if Malo Augusto is playing there, and then we have the likes of Pedro, You understand? Those flanks now becomes actually enjoyable and very much presentable to anyone who follows soccer, because those are the area that will become supply to any number 9 or number 10 that will be advancing at the middle to try to get those balls and score. And they have acquired a very good number 9, the name of Pedro.
Yeah.
Understand? A move from Brighton to Chelsea, I think he was just waiting for it. And whenever I listen to him, when he said that Chelsea has been a team has dreamed about, it has now come to fore, because the kind of goals he has scored at Chelsea and the sequence and the pattern that has been doing it does not actually mirror how he used to do it at Brighton. He tells a story of somebody actually who gotten that chance by heartedly, as he really coveted to do. And then once presented it like this to him, he started doing whatever that he has been all along dreaming about doing. And he has been giving Chelsea goals that have really given points that are deservedly to put them where they are currently.
Yeah, talking about Pedro, of course, in the Premier League, he hasn't thrived as most people expected. But the lucky about him is that the other departments are working for him. And once he'll hit the ground running, he'll score goals for fun, because the quality Pedro has. What he showed us at Brighton, and also during the Club World Cup, he really did magnificent job for the Blues. But today, I think look that combination between you have just spoken about Neto and Rachel James. Indeed, Neto brought the cross for the first goal that was scored by Achepongo, and then after that he combined well with Rachel James for the free kick, for him to score the free kick. And after that, later on, though he was not involved, then Rachel James scored the third goal. That tells you that Chelsea now has goals across board. They are not banking on some individuals to do that job for them. These goals can come anywhere.
From left back, from front.
They have the quality. That's why they are becoming a threat. And like I earlier said, they are going to be considered like the dark horses for the English Premier League this season. Most people might underrate them, but they can rise up on the occasion when nobody knows exactly where Chelsea are coming from.
Gentlemen, I think we've captured the essence of this game today very well. Of course, Chelsea has, our listeners out there, Chelsea has defeated Nottingham Forest 3-0 in the second half, and it seems that Chelsea are riding very high in this Premier League this season, and though they have a black spot of always getting a red card in every match, which they have now had for 6 or 7 games in a row. It's not either the coach or the player, but it is not. It has not stopped them from winning matches, and they're doing very well. Of course, Nottingham Forest are now rooted among the top, the basement of APL. They're 4th from the bottom with 5 points, and it needs a miracle for them to turn around their game.
The funny enough, before Chalo, if you allow me just a minute, that going through this Nottingham Forest lineup, nothing necessarily has changed from the last season lineup that they used to have. There are just few individuals, like what you mentioned, Elanga, and again, they have acquired the services of Douglas Luiz, if you remember. When Luiz was actually crossing over to Serie A, which, and again, he did not fare on well, he was on fire. So coming back to EPL, I assume that he will pick from where he left and start actually playing like the Douglas Luiz we know. Similarly, if you look at Gibbs, who and again was being coveted by so many clubs, I think Arsenal was one of them at a particular point. He's a good player, not unless if this player, and as I mentioned earlier, they might just be going slow to this new coach that they have acquired. Because look at their defensive line, the likes of Milankovic, Williams, we have the likes of Murillo, and now they have added even a value. Zichenko crossing over from Arsenal to them. He still has some feet that he used actually to present at Arsenal. It's only just how you play and how you feel this player and make them enjoy the position that they enjoy most in that particular team, and the result will start to come. So as to say, I think the mistake or maybe the mess might be culminating from the technical bench. Not necessarily to talk about the quality, they still have the same quality that almost made them grace UEFA.
The Champions League. Because you see, they were just going for they almost went for Champions League, by the way.
True.
If it's not for those 6 matches they lost towards the end, they could have made the top 4. Roji, anything else you can talk about this match, or we go for a break, and when we come back, we look at the lineups, or we've checked all the lineups?
Not, we haven't completed the lineups. But also, before we take a break, I think it's good to mention about yesterday's Champions League match that is between Kenya Police and Al Ahly. The Kenya Police unfortunately lost 1-0 at home, so they have a mountain to climb when they go to Sudan next week on Friday. So I think it won't be a walk in the park for them, because looking at how they conceded that goal, I think it was some loss of concentration and the casualness of the midfielder releasing a back pass, and then that is how Koulibaly pounced onto it and then made the Police defense have to pay for it. Yeah.
You know, I've all along, and you are mentioning where actually the core of my heart lives most. That's our local league.
Yes.
And Roji, we can come actually to this. You can attest to this because I've been following this thing with you.
Yeah.
And we are the advocate of this particular local league. It pains me most when I see that our team are struggling to. A team, we know Al Hilal as one of the biggest club in Africa. But given the current situation and whatever they are facing, they should not be coming here actually to beat Kenya Police in our own backyard. Because they understand.
But Kenya Police lost even to a Somali team. What are you thinking?
And that's why the reason that actually
a Somalia team.
Actually, that supports my point to an essence that I'm talking about us not having a strong league that can represent us to a continental level. Seeing Al Ahly struggle, even they don't have a stadium because their return league will be played in Libya. True or false?
Yeah,
they can't play it in Sudan. And they have been actually like tourists. They have been playing their games all over. Some have been played in Chad. They have been asking for this. And I understand even the league, the Sudanese league, the Sudanese club, they are playing their club in Chad. They are not necessarily playing in Sudan. So you see the frustration that these players that have vis-a-vis our Kenyan player who are actually coming from the bungalows and the mansionettes to come and grace this match does not qualify Al Hilal to come here and beat Kenya Police, who are our champions in Kenya.
But Al also beat Simba 4-1 in a
friendly
match before facing.
Before this facing. They always say that friendly is actually put in place to test players. We never know how Simba was fielding their players. Maybe it was fielding players that are really coming from fridge to understand their value and see how they can play. But on a competitive match, that's what we could have gauged. Like Police were playing them on a very competitive match.
My problem with the Police is that probably, and I've said this, is that they're not used to playing in the Continental. They're a young club. And if you look at the way Police plays, if you look at their match, especially you watch against that Somalia club, you'd see that Police were just lucky to go through even for this round because of their away goal rule. If the away goal rule was scrapped, that match ended on a draw.
They will have seen terrible things. Same to Nairobi United will be facing Tunisia giant
Edu
Soleil tomorrow at
Omija's club.
Omija's club at Ulinzi Sports Complex. So of course that's just a wrap up. And also, Cedric, speaking about the local league, what is happening at FC Leopards? because I think that was the third draw in a row, and then I think there was some angry protest from the section of the fans. So now maybe the team.
We are one of the fans. You ask us actually the lot that is quite suffering. It's not even the fans outside there. It's the fan in this studio. And I'm one of them.
Why are you hitting the table?
I'm all over on my social handles. Actually, this thing pains to the core. You see?
That's why I had to bring up this conversation, because I know he was.
Why is this guy so bad?
He was itching to speak, but he can't.
What is your problem, Cedric?
It is.
It literally pains that I've lived for the past 27 years without seeing FC Leopard being celebrated the league winner. And initially, when I was growing up, even before I amassed my weight to really live on my own as a parent, I would sit beside my radio listening to FC winning these things year in, year out. All the way from late 80s, cutting across to 90s. FC
the last
was
match.
The order of the A. Any team that plays against FC, you could brag along your friends, say, that team is just a walkover to us. When the likes of Wilberforce Mulambo are still playing for this team, John Busolo, John Barasa, Jojo
Mekiweche,
Sunguti, Mick Weche. You know, we could...
Josephat Controller.
Murila. So, when it comes to a technological era, where, and remember, they were playing without actually having a grasp of what is happening in Europe. True or false? These people had no avenue to see what other professional leagues were doing. Currently, as we are, we have so many avenues. You can look even in your house and start practicing on how you will play tomorrow without even going to the stadium. You can pick your ball with your phone and go and practice what you watched overnight. Our players are really disappointing us. And playing for that team, only a badge can give you a bigger avenue, even to grace bigger platform for your own future. Playing for FC, Gor, and maybe, let me say right now, Kenya Brewery by then, or Tusker, actually give you a bigger avenue to sell yourself. Why can these just players honor up and say, this avenue for me actually to be celebrated most and even be scouted by the bigger coveted clubs across the corner of the globe? We need to go ahead and win for this team. Watching them playing, and miserably, I almost even shed tears. We say that we are shedding tears when our king is being laid down, Baba. When FC is losing, I literally some points actually see myself shedding tears.
But they haven't lost. They
haven't lost.
But you see,
3 times.
The permutation has changed.
The
permutation has changed to an extent that the old gone are the days when a draw will earn you some points to win a league, because they were only 1 point. 1 point away from a win. Right now, a loss...
It's 2 points away.
A loss is much better than a draw. You rather get a team that loses 1 game and go ahead and win 2 games. Those are 6 points. Than a team that accumulated 3 draws, only 3 points, and you're competing in a league that you want to win.
Okay.
A draw will never win you a league. Okay. You rather lose, win, but don't draw.
So now, Sedo, you remember that you've not paid the Tanzanian coach Sande Kayuni to break the curse. Please pay Sande Kayuni.
Jujus are playing for. We have got so very many avenues actually that were bedelving us last season that we were not honoring. May it be players. Remember even the Rwandese player that took us to fifth. At some point, we were almost even being banned from... And again, we were banned at some point, not actually to hire players. You remember? We played for almost a half a season
without new players.
Yes. So, to say, there are so many curses, and we really pray for all those that we have done to these people to forgive us, so that they can unlock those courses that are and start winning. You know, when you go ahead, and this technical bench, let me just now have to mention something. I understand the mentality they were trying to plant into back to the minds of the fans. Matches that they played before the league started, they were playing weaker teams to plant the mentality that really mirrors winning essence, so that people can think you have brought in players that will win games for you. But when now the seriousness started hitting the ground moving is when we realized the players that they brought us in, they cannot score, they cannot defend. More so, our defending department is literally leaking. The kind of goals FC is conceding, like when we were playing the 20th, the ODM, whatever. The goal that we conceded against Shabana, did you see it? What happened?
That was from Vincent. I think, just like what happened against Kenya Police. He released the pass back to the
goal. There was from a back pass.
Allowed the opposition.
You know, once your coach Lugarusic would hate a player who does not think and play. Remember that philosophy?
Yes.
And I borrowed it and I started telling people this is how even the European team punishes their player. At any given time, thinking comes before playing. You need to be thinking very fast on what you are going to do with that ball. So when you get a ball and you give a feeble back pass and the opponent is closer to that ball, you are doing a disservice to the team. And at some point, you see even the goalkeeping department, what they are doing in that particular FC, like the goals that we have been conceding for those draws. FC goes ahead, scores 2 goals. 2 goals. But goalkeeper releases ball is like we still have those errors of the goalkeepers that we know that used actually to sell team in the name of betting. Where you could see them setting goals into their nets. That's what's happening at FC Leopard.
I think their draw against Posta Rangers was to be considered like a big loss, because they had everything in control until I think just weird things happened. in the defensive line, and that's how they dropped the 2 points. And but we also need to give kudos to Pamzo, what he's doing at Rangers with an average team.
Without players.
Trying to get points more, so getting 3 points at Gusii Stadium. That is always very
that was a revenge.
That was so difficult. But you can't go at Gusii Stadium, play against Shabana, come away with the 3 points. That is, I think, something massive. And look at the table. He's at the top of the table, unbeaten. Yeah.
You know what I'm feeling right now, Rogers? You allow me even to manage FC Leopard, I will only tell you two things. We first come up with our winning plan. And the FC previous winning plan was like, for you to play for FC Leopard, you must have some weighty kind of quality. And that's why we remember when James Kaimba was always